My name is Naomi, and I have a problem. I cannot stop obsessing over one question. Why do some people always seem to have money and others don't? No matter how hard they work, no matter how much they earn. That question sent me down a rabbit hole. Financial psychology, behavioral economics, debt patterns, credit systems, hours and hours of research that, honestly, my friends are very tired of hearing about. But what I found changed everything I thought I knew about money. So I want you to meet two versions of the same person. Same job, same salary, same city, same rent. One version wakes up every Monday morning dreading the notification sound on her phone because it might be her bank. She has $47 in checking, two credit cards at their limit, and a personal loan she took out to pay off another personal loan. She is not reckless, she is not lazy, she is not bad with money. She is trapped inside something most people never even realize has a name: the debt cycle. The other version, she's the same woman 12 months later. She has $3,200 in a savings account. She paid off her smallest debt completely, and she sleeps through the night. She didn't get a raise. She didn't win anything. She didn't stumble onto some secret that only rich people know. She found a system. And that system is exactly what I'm going to walk you through today. Stay with me. Most people think debt is just money they owe. Pay it back. Done. Simple. Oh, I wish. That is not how debt works in real life. And understanding the difference between debt as a number and debt as a cycle, that is the most important thing I will say in this entire video. So let me show you what the cycle actually looks like. You carry a $5,000 balance on a credit card, 22% interest rate. You make the minimum payment every month. Let's say $100. You feel responsible, you're paying, you're doing the right thing. Except, here's what is actually happening. Of that $100 you just paid, roughly $92 went to interest. Only $8 reduced your actual balance. $8! You didn't pay down your debt this month. You essentially rented your debt for $100. And then something happens. It always does. Your car needs a repair, your kid gets sick, your phone breaks. You don't have savings because every spare dollar was going to minimum payments, so you put it on the card. The balance goes back up, sometimes higher than before. This is the cycle, not a straight line of debt, a loop, a trap that is specifically designed to keep you inside it. And I want to be very direct with you about something. The minimum payment is not designed to help you get out of debt. It is designed to keep you in it as long as possible, because the longer you carry a balance, the more money the lender makes. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a business model. Now, debt cycles come in different forms, and identifying which one you're in is the first step to getting out. The first is the credit card loop. You carry balances, make minimums, occasionally pay a chunk when you get a bonus or tax refund, then charge it right back up within 3 months. You know the one. The second is the payday loan spiral. You borrow short-term at 300 to 400% effective annual interest. Yes, those numbers are real. To cover a gap, then can't cover the repayment, so you borrow again. This one is aggressive. It can trap someone within weeks. The third is the borrow to pay loop. You take a personal loan to consolidate debt. Feels like progress. Within 18 months, the credit cards are back at their limits, and now you also have a personal loan. You've doubled the problem without solving anything. All three loops share the same root cause. There is more month than money and no system to change that ratio. That's what we're building today. But before I give you the system, I need to address the thing that has probably already failed you: willpower. Yes, I said it. Every year, millions of people decide they are going to be different this time. They're going to stop spending. They're going to save more. They're going to pay off their debt. And they mean it. They genuinely, truly mean it. And by March, most of them are exactly where they started. This is not a character flaw. This is not weakness. This is biology. Your brain is not wired for long-term financial discipline. It is wired for survival, which means it craves immediate reward over delayed gratification. Every single time. The part of your brain that wants to feel good right now will always fight the part that wants to be financially free in 5 years. And guess which part is bigger? Your now brain. Not because you're bad with money, because you're human. This is why every debt-free story that begins with, "I just decided to change," is incomplete. The decision was real, but the system underneath it is what actually did the work. Here is the hard truth. Budgeting more carefully does not break the cycle if your income doesn't cover your minimum obligations. Cutting your morning coffee does not break the cycle if you're carrying $18,000 in high-interest debt. I'm sorry, but it really doesn't. Feeling guilty every time you spend does not break the cycle. It just adds shame to the problem. The cycle is broken by changing the structure of your money, not by changing how you feel about your money. Structure over willpower. That is the foundation of everything I'm about to show you. All right, let's actually do this. 5 steps. In order, because the order matters. Do not skip to step 3 because it sounds more exciting. The sequence is the system. Step 1, the bleed audit. Before you can stop the cycle, you need to know exactly where your money is going. And I don't mean roughly, I mean exactly. Most people think they know their monthly expenses. They are consistently wrong by $300 to $600. That missing money is what I call the bleed. Here's what you're going to do this week. Open your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Every transaction. Write down every single recurring charge. You will find things you forgot existed. A gym membership from 2022, still charging you every month. A subscription box you meant to cancel 8 months ago. A streaming service you share with someone who moved away 2 years ago. The average person has $147 per month in forgotten subscriptions. That is $1,764 a year, bleeding out of your account without providing any value. Cancel everything that isn't actively improving your life right now. Not someday, right now. Then, look at your interest payments. Add up every dollar you paid in interest last month across every debt. Write that number down and stare at it. That is the cost of your debt cycle. Money that left your account and built absolutely nothing for you. The bleed audit usually frees up $200 to $400 a month before you've changed a single spending habit. That is your first weapon. Step 2, the minimum floor. This is a number, not a feeling. It is the absolute minimum you need every month to keep the lights on, stay housed, and meet every minimum debt payment. Rent or mortgage, utilities, basic groceries, transportation, every minimum debt payment. Nothing else. Calculate this number. Compare it to your monthly take-home income. The gap between your income and your minimum floor is your margin. This is the only money you actually have any control over. If you have no gap, or if your minimum floor exceeds your income, you are in what I call a structural deficit. And I will come back to that because it requires a different conversation. But if you have a gap, even a small one, that gap is your exit. Even $50 of margin can begin breaking the cycle. It is not about the size of the gap today. It is about what you do with it consistently. Step 3, Choose your weapon. 2 strategies that actually work. The first is the debt avalanche. You make minimum payments on everything and throw every extra dollar at the debt with the highest interest rate first. Mathematically, this saves you the most money over time. If you have a $2,000 credit card at 28% interest and a $4,000 personal loan at 12%, the avalanche attacks the credit card first because that 28% is eating you alive. Kill the most expensive debt first, then redirect that payment to the next one. The second strategy is the debt snowball. You ignore interest rates entirely. You list your debts from smallest balance to largest. You attack the smallest one first, minimum payments on everything else. When you pay off that smallest debt, you feel it. You get a psychological win, and that win creates momentum. And momentum is underrated when you're trying to change a decade-long pattern. Here's what I'll tell you honestly. Research shows the snowball method works better for most people in the real world, not because it's mathematically superior, but because you actually stick with it. The best debt payoff strategy is the one you will do consistently for 18 months. If you are highly analytical and motivated by data, use the avalanche. If you need to see and feel progress to stay committed, use the snowball. Neither is wrong. Quitting is the only wrong answer. Pick one, write it down, start today. Step 4, the firewall. This is the one nobody talks about, and it is the reason most debt payoff plans collapse within 6 months. You cannot dig your way out of a hole while someone keeps handing you a shovel and asking you to keep digging. The debt cycle feeds on one thing: new debt. The moment you start paying off old debt while creating new debt, even small amounts, you are running in place. The firewall is a set of rules you create in advance, before emotion is involved, that prevents new debt from entering your life while you are in payoff mode. Rule 1. Your credit cards go in a drawer. Not canceled, because canceling affects your credit score, but physically inaccessible for daily use. Remove them from every saved payment online. Delete the autofill. Rule 2. The 72-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase over $50 waits 72 hours. If you still want it after 72 hours and it fits your margin, you can buy it. Research shows that 80% of purchase impulses disappear within 3 days, not because you're depriving yourself, because the impulse wasn't real desire. It was emotion. Rule 3. No buy now, pay later. No store financing, no 6 months interest-free. I know that one stings, especially when something goes on sale and the monthly payment seems so small and reasonable. But a $30 monthly payment for 18 months is $540, and it delays your debt freedom by months. The firewall isn't permanent. It's seasonal. You build it for the duration of your payoff plan. Then you reassess from a position of strength, not desperation. Step 5. The income bridge. This one is optional, but for many people, it is the accelerator that makes everything else possible. If your margin after step 2 is very small or non-existent, cutting expenses alone will not get you out of this cycle fast enough. You need to increase the income side of the equation. I'm not telling you to get a second job forever. I'm telling you to build a temporary income bridge, a 6 to 12-month sprint of additional income that goes directly, and I mean directly, to your highest priority debt. Sell things you own but don't use. List them this weekend. Tonight, even. Offer a skill you already have. Writing, design, tutoring, organizing, cooking, driving. You don't need to build a business. You need an extra $300 a month for 8 months. $300 extra per month over 8 months is $2,400. On a $3,000 credit card at 24% interest, that is the difference between being free in 8 months and still carrying that balance 2 years from now. The income bridge is temporary. The freedom is permanent. Now, I want to spend a moment on something that most finance content completely ignores, and I actually think it's the most important part of this conversation. The debt cycle is not just a math problem. It is a psychological one. And until you understand the emotional architecture of why you got into debt and why you stay in it, the strategy I just gave you will not stick. Research from Princeton and Harvard shows that financial scarcity, the constant mental pressure of not having enough, literally reduces cognitive bandwidth. It consumes working memory the same way having too many apps open slows down your phone. When you are in debt and stressed about money, you are making every financial decision with a handicapped brain. This is not an excuse, it is a biological reality that you need to work around. There's also something I want to talk about honestly, because nobody else will. The shame spiral. Many people in debt spend more, not less, because of how the debt makes them feel. The logic goes something like this. I'm already in debt. What's one more purchase? I'll never get out anyway. Might as well enjoy something. This is your brain trying to escape from pain using the only tool it has immediately available, a small hit of pleasure from buying something. It works for about 20 minutes. Then the shame is back, and it's slightly bigger than before. The antidote to the shame spiral is not more self-discipline. It is a concrete plan. When you have a specific strategy, a payoff date you've calculated, a debt you're targeting, a number you're watching shrink, the emotional pressure decreases. Not because your situation changed overnight, but because uncertainty is more psychologically painful than difficulty. Difficulty with a plan is manageable. Difficulty with no direction is crushing. The moment you make a plan, even an imperfect one, you are no longer trapped. You are in motion, and motion breaks cycles. Now, I promised I'd come back to something. What do you do if your minimum floor actually exceeds your income? This is a structural deficit, and it requires honesty that is uncomfortable, but necessary. If you owe more in minimum monthly payments than you bring home, cutting subscriptions and using the snowball method will not solve your problem. Not because those tools are bad, but because the math doesn't work yet. In a structural deficit, you have 3 real options. First, negotiate directly with your creditors. And I know what you're thinking. They'll never agree to that. They will, more often than you think. Credit card companies will often lower your interest rate if you call and ask, especially if your account is in good standing. They will sometimes offer hardship programs with reduced minimums during financial difficulty. But you have to call. You have to ask. They will not offer this proactively. Second, legitimate debt consolidation. A personal loan at 10% to replace credit cards at 22 to 28% can meaningfully reduce your minimum payment burden if you do not go back and charge up the credit cards again. This is where most consolidation attempts fail. The loan helps, the behavior doesn't change. Within 2 years, the problem is doubled. Consolidation is a tool. It is not a solution on its own. Third, structured debt relief. If you are genuinely unable to meet your minimum obligations, and I mean genuinely, a nonprofit credit counseling agency can work with you on a debt management plan. These are legitimate organizations. They are not the same as for-profit debt settlement companies, and I want you to be very careful about those. Debt settlement companies often promise to negotiate your debt down significantly, and sometimes they do. But the process requires you to stop paying your creditors, which tanks your credit score, and can result in lawsuits. The fees can be substantial. Please speak with a nonprofit counselor first before you go anywhere near a for-profit settlement company. The structural deficit is the hardest situation, but it is not hopeless. It requires more aggressive intervention, and that's okay. Asking for help is not weakness. It is strategy. I want to tell you what the other side actually looks like. Because when you're inside the cycle, it can feel like an abstract destination that other people reach, not you. Let me make it concrete. When you break the debt cycle, the first thing that changes is your nervous system. The background hum of financial anxiety. The one you've lived with so long you think it's just your personality, quiets. You stop dreading your phone. You stop avoiding your bank account. The mental energy that was permanently allocated to managing financial stress becomes available for other things. Researchers estimate that financial stress consumes the equivalent of 13 IQ points of cognitive function continuously for as long as the stress persists. Getting out of the debt cycle is not just a financial upgrade. It is a cognitive and emotional one. The second thing that changes is your relationship with unexpected expenses. Right now, a $600 car repair is a crisis. It requires juggling, borrowing, stress that ripples out for weeks. After the cycle, a $600 car repair is an inconvenience. You pull from your emergency fund. You replenish it over the next 2 months. Life continues without disruption. That shift from crisis to inconvenience is one of the most profound quality of life changes money can create. And the third thing, the one I think about most, is the choices that open up. When your income isn't entirely spoken for by debt payments, you can make decisions based on what you actually want, rather than what you can afford to tolerate. You can leave a job that's making you miserable. You can take a trip that actually matters to you. You can help someone who needs it. You can start building something. Debt doesn't just cost money. It costs options, and getting free gives you those options back. Let me bring this back to today, right now. Not next month, not when things settle down, not after the holidays. Here is exactly what you're going to do this week. This week, the Bleed Audit. 3 months of statements, every subscription, every recurring charge. Cancel what doesn't serve you. Write down your total monthly interest cost. That number needs to be visible. Then, calculate your minimum floor. Fixed obligations only. Find your margin. If there is no margin, identify the one thing that can change most quickly to create some. Choose your payoff strategy. Avalanche or Snowball. List every debt, pick your target, write your payoff date based on your margin. Put it somewhere you will see it every morning. Build your firewall. Move the cards, delete the autofill, set the 72-hour rule. And tell someone you trust what you're doing. Accountability doubles your success rate. That is not motivational fluff. That is research. And finally, identify one income bridge opportunity. Not 5. One. One thing you can do in the next 30 days to add even $200 to your debt payoff this month. That is the system. 5 steps, built on structure, not willpower, designed for real life, not perfect circumstances. The debt cycle feels permanent because it has been your normal for so long. But normal is not the same as permanent. You are not your debt. You are not your credit score. You are not the decisions that got you here. You are the person who just spent 23 minutes learning how to get free. And that means everything. I'm Naomi, and I'll see you in the next one.